Hello everyone, coming up on today's episode of the Irish Rally podcast, we talk about the Irish competitors in Rally di Capitale, some more news regarding the Wexford Rally and plenty more, all in association with Noel Hutton Cross Repairs, Ballin County Carlow. You're very welcome to the latest episode of the Irish Rally podcast. We are over in the Beverly Hills of Carlow here, Ballymoon, and I'm joined by Ted O'Shaughnessy, Terence O'Shaughnessy and Ted O'Shaughnessy to many as well, or simply known just as Ted. Thanks for having me over, first of all, Ted. We're off to a flying start with this podcast. The whole country's talking about it, and it's great. And I suppose the big thing for me on a personal level in setting it up was to put Irish Rally, and I won't say on the map because lots of people doing lots of good work, but to give people something to listen to on a weekly basis. And I'm sure it was a frustration of yours among many people that the sport probably didn't get enough recognition through certain aspects of media, particularly radio.
Yeah, well, yeah, very true. I suppose when you look at it, in lots of aspects, it does do a lot for certain areas and brings a good bit of revenue to counties and that. Okay, albeit one day a year or whatever, but yeah, for the effort that goes into it, I suppose, yeah, the reward of it for media-wise has never been up there much.
Yeah, but you go back there more than 10 years ago, even to this day. You go back 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and 30 years ago. It was huge. You had massive TV coverage, and you regularly hear the updates on your 2FMs and all these stations when Rally the Lakes was on, the Core 20 was on. Just doesn't seem to be there to that level.
No, that's true. But I remember when Frank Maher had, should know his name now, the radio presenter that navigated with him. He brought a good bit of it to radio at that time. And then even you had at that stage, the Circuit of Ireland and all that time was full 5 days covering the whole of Ireland. And I suppose it landed like a circus, I suppose, in a lot of ways for places, and it brought a bit of enjoyment. But when you look back at the old videos and look at the crowds that were standing on ditches and that, you just don't see that anymore, which is a pity,
Yeah.
I don't know why. I suppose I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's just I seem to lose that pizzazz or character about it.
Yeah. But it's mad considering we have drivers competing on the world stage, and we're going to talk about the Rally di Roma Capitale as well, which is on this weekend, which is serious competitors over there. But it's mad. You think of Breen and Meek in particular, and Callan Devine making the push, and it's a bit of a disservice of them who are competing on the world stage when we have people across all other sports getting coverage the whole time.
True, but I'd say there's probably even lads in rallying don't realise they're out this weekend.
Yeah.
It's the fact that we're in an age of such public knowledge and social media and not in secret anymore or sacred or whatever way you want to put it. It's still hard to imagine that rally is going on and there isn't much about it. Again, can't answer on that one. I don't know where it's just losing that little bit of push.
Well, look, we'll push what we can to try and bring it back anyway.
Yeah.
How have you found this year yourself? I know you had planned to do Carlow. It's a mad time we're in. Wexford, as we said last week in the episode, Stephen Murphy is going ahead. Where do you stand kind of on the whole COVID thing? Should we be driving at all this year or navigating?
As I said to you, I don't know. It's hard to know. I'm up in the air about it. As I said, one, we pulled it for foot and mouth, which wasn't life-threatening. And I think it gave people a chance. It was a simple, that's it, we're gone for the year. Everyone knew where they stood. Possibly maybe should have stood on the ground, done the same thing for this year. And allowed people, right, well, at least we know now where we stand, that's it. You could have gone, whatever money you were spending rallying this year, you could have put into your car or whatever. You could have stripped it at least knowing that, right, a date suddenly going to appear. There's a whole load of ways looking at it. It is putting pressure on organisers, try and keep locals, residents, health and safety. I know, look, it is our sport at the end of the day, and yes, it would be great to see it up and run. But I just think under a simpler, clearer way forward.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how to do it or can't give you the answer to that one. But I just think possibly maybe just said, right, take the year, whatever. At least have clear, fresh plans or let some other events run, wherever else.
Yeah.
And see how they run and see what happens, see what comes of it. Because
Yeah.
the last thing we want, We can't annoy our residents. Without residents, we can't pass the roads. Without the roads, we can't rally.
Yeah, because it's hard enough to canvass in normal circumstances. People have to be, the arm has to be twisted a lot of the time.
Oh, it does, yeah. Like, I've seen it on all angles. Between I've navigated, I've assisted, I've done COC, and yeah, it can be tricky at times. And there is times when you won't get down that road and you'll have to work around it. But you can't go in bullheaded. You have to sort of, you know, we do need the residents at the end of the day.
Do you know if the boys down in Wexford are getting any hardship with that at the moment, or how they're getting on with it?
No, I couldn't answer that. I haven't a clue now. As I say, hopefully not now. And hopefully, see, the other side of it too is maybe residents might like to see a bit of something happening around.
Yeah.
But at least if you're getting that from the residents, well then, great. You have them on your side. Once the locality is on your side, you'll work through it. Yeah,
it's kind of limited that bit as well, because we got news during the week that there's no overseas competitors allowed. So it's anyone that's basically on the island of Ireland essentially that is allowed to compete in the event. But I suppose that's it takes a little bit from it. It's understandable, don't get me wrong. But like, geez, there was some of the lads from Wales in particular who was coming over for it.
There used to be some great characters come from Wales.
Yeah.
Fantastic characters come from Wales. And like, they came to support Carlo as well. We've had some great competitors. Like, I'd say we could have had, on years, I'd say we could have had up to 25 Welsh competitors. You know, and you take their navigator and their service crew, that's 80, 100, 150 odd people landing from Wales. It's a nice, you know, they're bringing a bit of crack, they're bringing a few pounds, they're bringing something to keep the area alive. So yeah, it is a blow that they can't come.
Yeah, and like, I mean, it's such an easy event for them to get there as well with Rosslare, I suppose.
Oh, sure, especially Wexford, like, sure. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? They could nearly hit cruise control from the boat and stop at Park Fermat. You
look at it then, and you see the airport and the volume of people coming and going. And I was actually up in Glendalough last weekend, and I tell you, the amount of people from other countries there was unnatural, and you can bet your bottom dollar that most of them weren't residents. Like, so when you think about it in that aspect,
I know, and I agree 100%. No, I do think it should be. I don't know how. Again, I do think it should be policed a little bit more. But again, the fact that they'll come in around, they can come to wherever, they'll come to Kilmorkey, they'll come to Rosslare Harbour, they'll come wherever. But if the rally runs and a case breaks out, I can guarantee the rally will be the one that'll be blamed.
Yeah, and who knows, it could jeopardise it even next year, say, when things are going. Wexford could be no more because of it, arguably. Like, you could make that case.
You could, yeah, and to keep yourself as clean and clear as possible. Yeah, and it's plain and simple as that. But it's the tourist travelling through, stopping somewhere, could be your host, and God forbid,
bring the whole thing down, as the fella said. Having said that, as you mentioned at the start of the programme, we do have a number of competitors in action in the Rally di Roma Capitale this weekend. It did kick off yesterday. We're recording, I suppose, just for the record, we are here on a Saturday morning, and things will be getting underway in Angler today. With that event properly. A number of competitors, Aaron Johnson sitting in with Oliver Solberg was a big one that jumped out in the polo R5. Solberg, well, I won't say he's running himself, I'm sure Petter has something to do with it somehow or another. Callum Devine, through Motorsport Ireland, with Brian Hoy in the I-20 R5. I think Philip Case is the brains behind that this weekend as well. Craig Breen, of course, with Paul Nagel, also in an R5. He's under the team MRF Tyres. This weekend, you have another Motorsport Ireland Rally Academy in Will Creighton and Liam Regal in a Fiesta R4. Jeff Case, of course, brother of Philip, is navigating for Pádraig Duffy, and Captain McCourt is there with Barry McNulty. So we're there talking about Wexford on one hand, and listen, I'm not saying a word again, the boys over in Rally di Roma, fair play to them and all that. Yep. Funny one though when you think about it, like.
Yeah, but like, again, it's the world is affected, but the world must move on. And that's again back to what I'm saying, if all the precautions are taken and taken correctly, it can work. Yeah. And again, hopefully they'll come back safe anyway for a start, and hopefully they'll have a good run over there too. I only looked at a bit of the launch last night, and I was actually on Philip's live on Facebook. Looked to be nice, a nice atmosphere around the launch, around the start ramp and that. So be interesting to see how today goes. Be interesting to look at some of the videos and that, and see how the event is ran and running, and hopefully there's no issues.
Yeah, and I suppose it's great to see Motorsport Ireland supporting drivers in this, European Rally Championship and trying to give them that bit of a leg up to try to get perhaps WRC seat or something like that. You know what I mean? That's the aim, I suppose.
That's the aim, because rallying is one thing. Without budget, you won't go anywhere. And there has been some fantastic drivers in this country and just didn't have the budget to continue.
Yeah,
you could name loads, which is a pity. Like, we do have the talent, just not the backing.
Yeah, and is this something kind of just in the last couple of years that Motorsport Ireland are trying to pump a few bob into, like, or has the few bob just kind of become more readily available in the last couple of years, I wonder?
No, the Billy Coleman Award has been going for a good few years, but even to take that stepping stone, there's no point in stepping on one. You know what I mean? You need a whole row of stepping stones to cross that river.
Yeah.
And if it's great, yes, don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic stepping stone to try and get started, but it's the effort to keep that funds rolling, to continue on that path, or whatever you want to call it, to try and eventually get the seat. Because the way it has gone now, I believe, like with the likes of the world teams, is you nearly have to bring your own funds.
Yeah, it's something I was going to touch on. Like, it's a big disappointment in many ways that you could be arguably better than the guy that's going to get the seat, right? Just say even that 5 to 10% better, but because he has 5 or 10% more in his pocket, he's going to get the drive. What is the story? Like, I mean, if these guys are world teams, why haven't they got the backing to get the best driver into the seat? Why does their own finances come into question, I wonder?
I don't know. I can only again go back to, I'd say, sheer overheads from what would have been take back in the 90s, Group A days. Group A, you're the start of WRC 97, 98, 99, up along there. Yeah, really, you had your two prime drivers and you usually always had a backup driver. But I don't know if, I'd imagine, look, you'd say with fluctuation of bits and pieces and things like that, but I don't know whether the cars were as expensive run back then. Now, some say they were. I can't say, I never had one. But definitely there was more backing, I think, back then. You look back on all the cars. Now, I know they banned all the whole tobacco and drink, but there was Marlboro and the 555 team, all that. There was a lot of money coming in those
Rotmans.
Yeah.
You know, most iconic ones, yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, you take back, even Group B days, it was the sheer money that all those, and some of the most famous livery, still to this day, Martini, all those. I just don't know whether it's business or viewed on a different way, but just that sheer financial backing that was coming those days, I don't think it's there anymore. So now the teams need money coming in somewhere. So the driver can bring money, we'll get going.
Yeah, and you see it in Formula 1 as well. That great documentary series that's on Netflix that we had 2 series of. The name eludes me at the moment off the top of my head. Drive to Survive.
Yes.
There you go. And you see, I think it's Lance Stroll coming in. The old boy comes in with the full bob and next thing Lance. Now Lance can drive in fairness to him, but that's kind of nearly like a carbon copy example, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. But again, you go back to Jordan and Benson and Hedges and all. It was, again, some of the most fantastic colour schemes in livery that will be remembered forever, but gone.
Yeah, just because it was the bands and
now I'm not saying, look at probably great money in fags, it probably still is for a lot of lads, but I don't know, it's a pity because just I think, as I say, that sheer just money what makes the world go around. That's
it. And it's the single biggest factor, I suppose, in motorsport. You're in a good place to kind of talk about that because you had a serious machine there going back 8-9 years ago, I suppose, with the Corolla that Kevin Eves now has. That big yeah, he is. Did he win the modified in 2017 in that car?
Yeah, and last year.
Yeah. Do you kind of have any kind of regrets or anything like that maybe if you held on to it, that you could have been the contender or
Look, there is days, and you will regret selling it, but I did enjoy the time with it, but I think just it all kind of came in a snowball between getting into the 2.5 car and then the financial thing and work and the whole crash of what happened in 9, 10, 11. Between that now, financial pressure and just the sheer pressure, just you had to do well. You all sort of well. Not whatever, but look, everyone treats pressure different. But at the time anyway, with work commitments and all, it wasn't really agreeing with me. So we took the time out then, or had to take time out, just concentrate on work, try and keep it afloat and what have you. And I rebuilt the car sort of while in the times where whatever were stopped, just took a couple of years out and reshelled it. And we said, I wouldn't mind one, give a spin at to see what it's like or whatever the hell, because I hadn't been in it in probably 6 years or whatever. So actually, myself and Colin O'Toole went to Monaghan, and it was a funny weekend now. Colin will tell you some stories about it, but I did enjoy the day's spin, but after being out for a few years and to realise the pace that you were on and that needed to be on, and sort of still keeping work commitments, or still work mattered or whatever the hell, or whatever you want to put it. I just sort of said to myself, anything goes wrong, I have to be able to go to work again Monday. And I still have the 1600 car, and I think it was myself and Colin went to Laois in the 1600 car, and I actually enjoyed the day more in it. There was less pressure, and I said, do you know what, maybe I'll chance letting go to 2.5.
Yeah.
So I didn't even advertise it. Word kind of got out, and Kevin approached me, and I said, here, no point, I can hum and haw and whatever, but if I'm going to do it, here's my opportunity, and just
with a heavy heart, I'm sure, because is that car would have been one you would have had for a serious length of time. Would have built from the ground up almost, yeah?
99.
Yeah, like, geez, that's a tough thing to say. That's like breaking up with a woman after 15 years, or whatever length of time was, longer. For 20 years. It's 20 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, 99 I bought that car. And and sort of built it up over the years. But yeah, it's a long time to have it, so yeah, as you say, going out the gate now wasn't easy. yeah,
it's like the old Nissan ad, the big little here let me down, that one, yeah. But I suppose you look at it now, and the Modified Championship is basically a Mar 2 championship, right, with your Corolla and a couple of Starlets and a Darien or two. Is that a fair way of putting
it?
Yeah.
I know the modified scene at the moment is quick, and it is
seriously quick.
It's seriously quick, and it is what the crowds kind of now. Fair enough, yes. The front run R5s are seriously quick, are seriously good to watch as well. But when Eves, Kieran, Armstrong, all those start landing down, it's spectacular to watch.
Yeah. Kevin has great pace. Fairness to him,
very good.
Wicked
now, yeah.
And he's kind of a all-action sort as well. Like, he's not afraid to let it hang out, and he seems, for the most part, obviously very, very much in control. He's good at what he does. Like,
yeah. But you think any of the top 10 or top 15 in those 2.5 cars at the minute, like, they're consistent, but they're on it. Go back to Donegal last year, Lord. I know it didn't do what I did, but look at Ryan Lochran there and the pace he was on up there that weekend. Like, it was. And even they're all on just an unbelievable pace.
Yeah.
So they were.
Scary stuff, like. And
yeah.
When you had that car, like, did you feel kind of almost, did you feel always fully in control of it, like, or did you feel, geez, this yoke is a bit more than I can handle sort of a job, or, I don't mean that in a bad way now either.
Yeah. No, and like they've come on 30 and 40 horsepower since then.
Yeah.
Even, like, do you know what I mean? I don't know what, I would love a spin in one today now to see what they're like. But back then, on a wet road, you would feel it. Now, this thing's going to bite the arse off, Do you know, that sort of way.
Yeah.
But enjoyable at the same time.
Yeah. That event in Carlow that you targeted, I thought it was 2012. You tell me it's a couple of years before, I think. This was supposed to be Ted's year. Overall now, we're talking. This was the year Ted was going to get the overall win. Yeah. What happened?
Well, we had been second year previous and went in 10. And I suppose it was kind of I won't say a final hurrah everywhere you want to put it. I was getting married that year as well, so it probably was going to be a final hurrah. And sure, here we said kind of went through the car bits and pieces and painted the wheels, had it all looking real well. I forgot to clean the paint off the backs of the wheels. Went into the first stage, and about 5 k's in, just the car felt all wrong. Couldn't figure out what was wrong. It was actually Desi Keena was coming at, catching us on the first stage, and we actually pulled in to let Desi pass, and right when we pulled in, the wheel fell off. So that put into that, the wheel was damaged, couldn't get back on a spare on the back, and went through. Weren't even going to bother going back out. Raging, just one of those, the pressure and whatever, and then the anticlimax just said, here, and that was it. So back into service and didn't bother going back out, and later in the day then they were stuck for sweeper, so I went back out doing sweeping then just for the spin more than anything else.
For the crack, like,
yeah. And that was the last day in that car then.
What was the conversation like when you got back into service? I'm sure the blame game was rife, was it?
Oh, sure, it was my own fault.
Yeah. You couldn't even blame anyone else.
No, like, talk about an amateur mistake. I should have, like, it was stupid, but one of those things.
Yeah. Shit happens to you.
Shit happens, yeah.
And I suppose, look, at least you went out and had the crack after.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I know it's no consolation, really, but after paying the entry in that, you might as well go.
Yeah. You might as well go, exactly, yeah.
Because you probably hadn't a whole lot else planned that year, I'm sure, did you? Or?
Oh, no, I think no, I was just only going to do that one, that was it.
Yeah.
Because the hammer was falling then in June, so.
Yeah, because if you had a heap of events or something, you'd understand you might come in and call it quits because you've all the expenses of your tyres and your fuel and if anything happens, of course, you know.
Exactly, yeah.
But no, just that was I remember that year all right, and the other one I suppose we were mentioning off air, and we might as well come to it now. The very first Mark II challenge, 2004.
Yeah.
That was massive for Carlo to be getting. It was a really, really novel idea.
Turnout, yeah. I got big turnout, yeah.
Billy Coleman running first on the road, and you were navigating for Mick Reddy, who was second on the road.
That's right, yeah.
Talk us through it.
That was I don't know how you put it. I suppose might be a slight bit controversial, but sure. We were supposed to be the first competing Mark II on the road. Billy Coleman was there as, Billy Coleman was there to
ambassador,
bring ambassador for the Mark II thing, whatever the hell, and he was to run first Mark II on the road. And nothing, there was nothing against Billy or anything like, but just Mickey had asked to run a minute gap to allow Billy, no pressure on Billy or whatever they because there was a fair field of stuff coming behind him. So we landed to start first stage. Long story short, the message hadn't been transpired to arrival control. We were there due to start at say 10:01. Billy left at 10 on the dot. Next thing, we were handed the time card, 30 seconds. So we weren't anywhere ready to go. And we tried to get the minute, and no, they wouldn't hear of it. So we basically left the start line still pulling the belts and clipping the helmets nearly. And I knew well going into the first section of the stage, it just, he wasn't waiting at all. There was one corner, as I say, a left-hander he should not have lifted, and he did. Brake for it, and I knew that wasn't Mickey's style. And she was a bit of a pig. She was real lumpy down low. She came into that hairpin left and bogged down a bit. Gave it to her. She broke traction. Out up the bank and rolled her. So in front of, I know Manny was there. A good few anyway.
Well, I was anyway, and I was only 13 or 14, and I couldn't believe what was happening at the time. Now, I've done a bit of Googling and stuff, and I'm almost certain this is no joke. A couple of 100 yards down that road is Reddy's Cross. Reddy goes over Reddy's Cross. Jenny Mac, like, I don't even know was he aware of that, but
I wouldn't think so.
You could not write that, like.
No.
But like at the same time, weren't you lucky? Like you took off that time, but belts and helmets only half on, and you rolled the bloody yoke. That could have been a lot fucking worse.
Oh, sure, look, it could have been, but now it could have been, I suppose. But like, yeah, it was just one of those moments where you left frantic, but you were pulling on him.
Yeah,
just going into stage.
The whole thing of navigating as opposed to driving. I know you've done COC and you're involved in running rallies and stuff like that too. But what's the you just driven a good bit at that stage? So why navigate that year? I know you did a good bit of it, like, but
yeah. Well, I actually started navigating in '96. Started navigating in '96. Bought that Corolla in '99. It was in '99. Foot and mount then. The year foot and mount, used car 9900, footing out the year, I built my first competitive engine, Richard Macer. He built the first engine, took the year out that time to build an engine. And went, went to O2 then, hit the car in the rock, long story short, work was starting to get busy, shoved the car into the corner of the shed and didn't use it for a couple of years. Well, it was just, came home after damage and shoved it into the corner and said, oh, here, look at that another day. And sat there then for a couple of years. So, came out then anyway, to say in with ready for the first Mark 2 challenge, and I said I would because I said this would be good, this would be competitive speed. So it was only just the sheer, you'd always still be involved in it. So that was how it was just conversation and chat and whatever. And once I got that day out of the way, the blood was starting to turn myself here, we're going to go back at this. So pulled the car to the corner shed, started to rebuild it, whatever the hell, and there was another shell there at the time as well in build, and long story short, between the whole lot, we made one yoke out of two and went, actually that's when Eugene came on board then, and we went to single stage up in Dundalk. That was Eugene's first time to sit in, and that was a good crack weekend now, and we did have some gallery, and started from there then and just got back into the rally and then, but it was kind of just the way it sort of just rolled on from what happened and things, and but sitting ready, and so it got me back out again. Yeah,
you were just happy to be in competing at all.
Yeah,
regardless of what side of the car you were in.
Exactly. Yeah. But I have to say now, regardless about what goes on in the car, it takes two to make that day work. Do you know what I mean? A good navigator is.
Yeah. Like there's a lot more work in it. Like I was talking to Cody about this in the first episode, and like you're responsible for so much. Like the time thing in something. Like I bought an Avi license last year. I was hoping to get going in an event over the 12 months between June last year and Carlo actually was kind of where we were targeting or whatever. But like I am even sweating now thinking about all the work that you'd have to get used to going out for the first time. It's not just, you're not going in and making notes, calling notes, doing records. The bloody time cards and the time issue. That seems like a right pain in the hole. And a lot of events don't give you much discretion either.
No, they don't. No, and again, back to, there's probably of any rally, there's probably 50 to 60% of that are pure clubmen and pure just there for today's crack and whatever. And I do think there need to be a little bit of, give and take, a little bit allow or sees it a genuine mistake. Do you know what I mean? But the amount of paperwork that a navigator has to do. A navigator's job is he has to get all these car times right. They have to be within the minute. He has to make sure they're all handed in. He's probably again even into service when you're out, keeping an eye on you, and also to keep manners on you in the car as well.
Yeah. You're going early and you're penalised. You go in late,
you're penalised.
Yeah, Jesus.
Like all your work on the stage could be wiped out by a simple digit wrong.
Do
you know?
And that's that.
And that's that.
You want to have some bit of maths going to school, wouldn't you?
You would want some bit anyway, good fingers.
Yeah, and good patience as well.
Oh, definitely.
But and it's mad, you see the way some lads are so relaxed, some guys kind of worked up, I suppose, different.
Oh, Eugene there now, just whatever, just water off duck's back.
Yeah, wouldn't knock a phone going.
No. Yeah. No, we've got now some fair hangovers now and he'll do the job all day.
When you're sitting in now, would you still be kind of laid back enough, or are you a bit nervous when you pull up there?
Now I wouldn't be near as nervous as I would have been back, or anxious, or whatever way you want to put it. Now, no, I'm a lot more relaxed. And whatever happens, and I just
be a crack.
That's all I want out of now. Just be a crack. Still like to be competitive. Don't get me wrong. Still like to be competitive, but not.
You're looking at the bigger picture. Yeah, and there's a lot to be said for that as well. In fairness, a couple. You mentioned Ryan Loughran earlier. A couple of Mark II Fiestas arrived in Ireland over the past week or two. One of them, I believe, going to Ryan.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. And he will be one to watch when he gets going. Definitely.
You mentioned Seriously Quick in Donegal up until obviously the tragedy that unfolded that weekend, and won Carlo as well last year.
Yes.
Just a right tussle with Damien Toner, but It'd be interesting. He'd be a loss to the modified, but
I don't think he'll walk away from the modified either. Though I think
Yeah.
he'll still keep his hand in there.
yeah, because Ryan kind of preps cars and stuff, doesn't he? He
And very good at it too. Yeah.
Yeah. So you reckon there'll be a combination kind of between
I'd say so. Yeah, I'd say the modified scene is still, it's still strong and it will remain strong. I think so. Yeah, and I think he's still hand in heart. I'd say he still will enjoy it.
Yeah. The proud owner of the second one, there's a rumour mill with that as well. Is it McCord?
Well, supposedly, yeah, that's the name.
Pat McCord.
Yeah.
Yeah. Serious machines and serious money.
Yeah, definitely. But look, it's good to see him. It's good to have that. That sort of is still happening in Irish rallying.
Yeah. How many guys are we looking at with crossovers between competing and prepping cars and stuff? Like you mentioned Ryan Loughlin there. The standout one that from outside the country for years, I suppose, would have been kind of Melvin Evans, because he used to compete a good bit, and
Don Buckley
and that. So are we looking at many that's kind of competing / prepping?
There's not many now, no.
McKinstry, I suppose, is another one. Kenny McKinstry.
Yeah, he would have been one. Desi Keane now does a good bit of prepping as well now, and when Desi gets behind the wheel, he's no slouch.
And so lads prepping their own cars. Most lads prep their own cars.
Most lads prep their own cars, yeah.
But we're talking about kind of on the higher echelons kind of the game.
Desi would run Gary McPhillips' car and a few others like that now, and he would I suppose you're limited alright now when you do get into it I suppose time is the thing too.
So it's hard to be double jobbing with that kind of stuff too.
It is, yeah. So much work goes into prepping and whatever, and then if you're prepping, you kind of nearly maybe there on the day, So there is. I wouldn't say it's easy work now. Prep and compete.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so at all. Philip Case is a man, of course, we mentioned earlier in the programme with regards to the preparation of Callum Devine's car this weekend.
Yep.
Philip, am I right in saying I think came out of M Sport?
Mm-hmm, I believe so. Yeah.
With a good CV, and obviously hugely regarded, prepping cars all over Europe. Supposed to be one of the best in the business now, in fairness, don't?
Yeah, no. Again, I've never had any dealings with him, to be honest. But yeah, by all means, his cars seem to be reliable and good, and it is modified or homologated or four-wheel drive. Yeah, is turned out fairly good. Turned out good cars.
Yeah, it'd be a good place to be getting your experience on. M Sport.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Top drawer stuff. Look, Ted, I think we're just about there, as the fella said. We have touched on a good bit. If I was to ask you kind of most, your kind of best moment in rallying so far, and the biggest one. I know you did the Car 20 and stuff, right? And you did Rally the Lakes and all that. But what's Ted's best moment so far? And plenty more to come, hopefully.
I always go back to Car 2007 in the 1600 car. I think was probably one of the best weekends I think I've ever had anyway. Just
2-day event,
sheer crack, just some fantastic stages, just some of the best stages I'd say I've ever competed on.
Is this the year Loeb was there as well?
That was the year Loeb, Herman and Sorda was there. And we finished 13th overall in the 1600 car that year with, I think it was 52 world cars there that weekend. That weekend now, and just even Loeb was a great ambassador that weekend, and just the crowd he brought around and the atmosphere in the place. It was probably the last of the really, really big crowds and big buzz around. Look, Donegal still has it every year, but for everywhere else, that was probably one of the last rounds of Irish rallying that had a big hurrah.
And you got a savage result.
Yeah, we got a savage result too. We had a great weekend that weekend. We had a fantastic weekend that weekend. Even we got most of Saturday with a half shaft falling off that we used to have to tighten at the end of every stage. But just one of those weekends that everything worked. Yeah. Everything worked. Like, it didn't matter if we went out across the ditch, we nearly landed on the road again. That sort of way. Just one of those weekends worked to a treat.
Yeah, Loeb says, I can't think of it, Killing a Martyr, is it?
That's the stage. Yeah. That was some stage.
He loves that stage. He spoke about it, with huge graw, that Loeb said, this is one of the best stages I've done.
Yeah, that was 20, I think if I remember right, that was 26 kilometres that year. And if you got tired on it, it was no stage to get tired on. It was bumpy, twisty. But if you could stay going for it, never forget we got to the end of it was the second time across it. The first time across it, poor Eugene was nearly running out of breath on it. And the second time across it, we got perfect the whole way through. We actually shook each other's hand at the end of it. It was cracking stage. We caught 2 or 3 cars on that particular stage on the Saturday, but it was... Oh, we nearly took out a telegraph pole as well. But it was just one of those stages, like just
for good measures.
Yeah, it was brilliant. So it was.
They were targeting Rally Ireland, of course, at that stage. You know, we had Rally Ireland in 07 and 09, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it was 07
in
and
around
09.
that.
Yeah, in around that time, yeah.
There's talks of an event on this island, you know, in the next couple of years. I don't know whether there's some lads kind of, I don't know, trying to say that perhaps a Rally GB was coming across to the north or something. And other lads are saying a full on Rally Ireland or something. But look, regardless, wouldn't it be great to have it on the land again?
Oh, Jenny, would you? Like the crowds that time above were brilliant. I remember going above servicing out of Sligo Regional College, or out of college that time in Sligo. And there was campers, and it was your proper WRC, real like going GB, campers up in woods, and you know, it was good to see it now. It would be good to see it back, and financially I hope that they could pull it off or manage to do something.
Yeah.
What we can do is wait and see.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, all going well. We do have it again. We have
exactly.
some of the best drivers around, and some of the best drivers around the world come to compete here. So why can't it be such a, isn't it?
Oh, exactly. Anywhere? And like I remember Granholm one time, he was an interview, and he reckoned there was nothing as slippy as wet Irish tar.
Yeah, and he found out that cruelly up in Galway when he smacked the wall. Remember?
And in Rally Ireland when he took out the wall outside of the lake.
Yeah, that was in Galway in Rally Ireland, was it? Right in saying that? I think maybe that's why I'm thinking Galway. Yeah. So look, he knew all about Ireland again. He went home to do. Ted, great to chat to you. Thanks for coming on the podcast, and we'll chat to you again soon.
Yeah, hopefully that went okay.
100%. Time will tell.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening in once again. We're back next week, and thanks to our sponsors, Noel Hunt and Crash Repairs, Ballin, County Carlow. Until next time, take care, and don't forget to hit subscribe on your platform of choice. And as we keep on saying, the 5-star ratings on Apple Podcasts and iTunes really do make the difference in getting us up the leaderboard in terms of our ranking. So thanks again for listening in, and we'll chat to you again soon.